Hello, I am Girish Krishnani. And you are watching 5-Minute Learnings. This is the 8th video in the series of cognitive biases. We shall focus on the self-serving bias in this video. The self-serving bias is a tendency for people to give themselves credit for successes but lay the blame for failures on outside causes. When you do well on a project, you probably assume that it's because you worked hard. But when things turn out badly, you are more likely to blame it on circumstances or bad luck. Some examples of self-serving bias are attributing good grades to being smart or studying hard, believing your athletic performance is due to practice and hard work, thinking you got the job because of your merits. This bias does serve an important role in protecting self-esteem. However, it can often also lead to faulty attributions such as blaming others for our own shortcomings. There are a few different factors that can influence whether or not people are likely to engage in self-serving explanations for behavior. Locus of Control. Locus of control involves personal beliefs about the factors that cause different events to happen. Generally speaking, people tend to have either an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. A person with an internal locus of control believes that they have a great deal of control over the events that happen in their life. They may take credit for the great things that happen, but it also sometimes means that they take the blame for things that are outside of their control. On the other hand, someone with an external locus of control is more likely to attribute outcomes to outside forces. Instead of believing that they have the power to influence what will happen, they tend to assume that nothing they do will have any impact and that only external factors determine what will happen, and is more likely to engage in self-serving explanations for failure. By taking credit for successes and assigning blame elsewhere for failures, they're able to protect their self-esteem. Motivational factors. Different types of motivation can also influence the self-serving bias. When motivated by self-enhancement, people feel a need to use internal attributions for success and external attributions for failure in order to improve their view of the self, the image that people want to convey to others, or their self-presentation, also affects self-serving attributions. Taking credit for positive outcomes and placing the blame elsewhere for negative ones helps people present themselves to others in a more positive light. Age and sex. Age and gender have been shown to influence the self-serving bias. Older adults tend to make more internal attributions, that is, credit themselves for their successes and failures. Men are more likely to make external attributions, meaning they tend to blame outside forces for their failures. Cultural influences. Cultural influence can play a role in how frequently people engage in the self-serving bias. While this bias is quite widespread in the United States and Canada, it tends to be much less frequent in Asian countries. Individualist cultures such as the US place a greater emphasis on personal achievement and self-esteem, so protecting the self from feelings of failure is more important. In collectivist cultures, people are more likely to attribute personal success to luck, and failures to lack of talent. There are some other scenarios where self-serving bias is less likely. People in romantic relationships and close friendships may tend to be more modest. They help keep you in check with their honest criticisms. In many cases, this cognitive bias allows you to protect your self-esteem. By attributing positive events to personal characteristics, you get a boost in confidence, helping people to persevere even in the face of adversity. For instance, an unemployed worker may feel more motivated to keep looking for work if they attribute their joblessness to a weak economy, rather than some personal failing. While the self-serving bias is quite common, it can have a number of negative effects on decision-making. There are some strategies that may help you avoid this bias or prevent it from affecting your choices in detrimental ways. Becoming more aware of the bias may help you see situations more realistically. When you assess situations, take a moment to consider whether your assessments might be influenced by this bias. Practice self-acceptance. Being able to accept your flaws and be kind to yourself reduces the impact of failures on self-esteem. Treat yourself with compassion. Look at yourself with love, even when you make mistakes. Research has found that using self-compassion reduces negative feelings and thoughts. Reduce self-criticism. Part of practicing self-compassion also involves working to be less self-critical. Studies suggest that athletes who use self-compassion are less critical of themselves after making a mistake. While the self-serving bias can protect self-esteem, it can lead to people avoiding responsibility for their own actions. If they are unable to see the situation accurately, it means they may not learn anything from their own mistakes. Often when a person is depressed or has low self-esteem, this kind of bias may be reversed. They'll attribute positive outcomes to outside help or even luck, and blame themselves when bad things happen. That's all on the self-serving bias from my side. In the next video we shall learn about the optimism bias. Hope you found this video useful. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel, 5-Minute Learnings. And do remember to hit the bell icon to get notified of the new videos. Thanks for watching.